Not you, you're not in flower yet. That's the one. Can you grow Spanish moss outside in the UK or the United States of America? Well, the answer is yes. Hooray! With some caveat, although it's also no. Aww. Mostly no. But I will explain. You see, I've got 7 mistakes to avoid. That's right, 7. When it comes to growing Spanish moss outside. Not only that, I'm going to tell you about the one place in the British Isles where you can genuinely grow this plant outside all year round. And if you don't have such good temperatures and you really can't grow this plant outside, I have an alternative as a suggestion. So tough is it that it keeps growing back year on year in a basket over here. You will be interested. It is a stunning plant with a great story. Cactus ackermanii, if you're interested, and yes, it is hardy down to -5, I guarantee it. Anyway, mistake number 1 when it comes to your Spanish moss is to keep it too wet. Once you've purchased one, you might get yourself a bit all giddy, get yourself your little sprayer, keep spraying it, it needs to get the moisture, it needs to get the nutrition. You want to stop that, because all you're going to do is kill it. It will start to rot. You only want to spray it with so much water that it will remain dry really after a couple or maybe 3 hours. These don't want to be saturated all the time. They really are quite sensitive to it. So when you do apply water, only apply a certain amount. Don't keep doing it every half an hour. They won't thank you for it. Do it once, possibly twice a day. Don't do it at the end of the day. Do it during a part of the day where it can dry out. Most of the times these will be dry and happy being dry. So yes, you need to water. Don't water too much. Like I say, don't water so much. Don't start dunking it in your water butt or chucking it in the bath. It won't like it. We'll discuss water a little bit further, but to start off with, and this is probably one of the biggest killers outside of cold, that's going to do your plant in. So make sure when you apply water, not so much, it needs to be allowed to dry. It's an air plant. It's not a water plant. Oh. Flipping heck. It's in the name. Mistake number 2 touches on that issue of rotting. You need to be careful where you hang these plants, especially if you're going to try and grow it as a house plant indoors. It's vital you have good ventilation around the plant. You don't want stagnant air, because this can increase the issue of rots on your plant. We mentioned this. So if you're planting it outside, that's not a big problem. We'll discuss that quite soon, because you can grow it outside here in the UK, at least for a good few months, no problem at all. And that should really stop any rotting issues. Oh, it's a Spitfire. God bless our boys. But if you're hanging it indoors, you might have an issue with ventilation. Not quite sure how you're going to deal with that. Maybe buy a small fan, not too noisy, because your wife won't like that. Mine certainly doesn't. So ventilation is key, reduces the incidence of rots. Growing it outside for as much of the year as you possibly can is going to be best policy. If you've got it indoors, you're going to have to come up with a solution to increase your ventilation. So, first things first, Spanish moss. No, it's not from Spain. Botanical name, Tillandsia usneoides. Oides means to be like, to look like. Usnea is a genus of mosses, some of which are pendulous, which is why Tillandsia usneoides is so cool, because it too has a pendulous habit. Would you like to see the one that I recently purchased from Haskins Garden Centre? I mentioned the name because we recently did a video there. I put a link to that video in the description. I'll also put a thumbnail. It will look a little bit like that at the end. You can click on it, you can watch us walk around. Let's continue. So here we have it, a tube of Tillandsia, which I now need to get out. Ooh, be very careful. Oh. We'll speed up this bit. There you go. Let's get a closer look at that. You will see from the structure there are no roots. So this plant receives all of its moisture, all its nutrition from the air. Not strictly the air, more from the humidity, the fine water droplets that float about in the air on a misty day. That carries water and a small amount of nutrition. I will get into that a bit more. Onto the leaves, you have specialist structures known as trichomes that absorb the water, absorb the nutrition. So this plant has no leaves. It absorbs everything through its foliage. How do we deal with that here in the UK and the United States? Come on. Mistake number 3 is to not give your Spanish moss enough light. It's especially going to be a problem if you're growing it inside, as many people will do. It doesn't want to be kept too dark. You want to keep it somewhere bright, but not in direct sunlight, because this can cause burning, cause it to dry out. It isn't going to be the best condition for it. If you're growing it outside, then again, keep it out of direct sun during the hottest part of the day. Provide dappled shade or semi-shade, that would be fine. Early morning sun will be fine, late afternoon sun will be fine, but hang it underneath a canopy so it's got protection. Like I say, during the peak heat times and direct light times of the day, morning sun, absolutely fine. Late afternoon, evening sun, absolutely fine. If you don't have enough light on it, it will just deteriorate. It won't be a very good specimen, so be aware of it. More light, avoid direct sunlight. Mistake number 4 is to use water direct from the tap in your house, especially if you live in a hard water area. Using tap water to water your Spanish moss can cause a build-up of mineral deposits that will block those specialist trichomes that the plant uses to draw in water and nutrition. So if these are blocked, the plant can't take in water, can't take in nutrition, and the plant becomes stunted, poor growth, looks terrible, could die. And it's your fault. So what do you need to use? Well, you have 3 choices. You can use filtered water, which is probably accessible to most people. You can use rainwater. Of course, you need the facilities to collect the rainfall. But if you can't get either of those, then you can go to your supermarket, probably your store that sells you car parts, and pick yourself up some deionized water, which is almost better than using rainwater. However, if you use it long term and don't spray it with anything else, you can get nutrient deficiencies. So while deionized water is good, once a month you will need to give it a little feed. Talk about that shortly. So to keep your Spanish moss in good condition, allow it to grow, you will need to apply some fertilizer, but you can't just pull out your old box of Miracle Grow, mix it with water put it in a spray bottle, spray it on, and think that will do the trick, because it won't. It's far too rich. It will burn and damage your plant. So what do you use instead? Well, I'll tell you. Most good garden centres will be able to sell you a Tillandsia air plant specifically formulated fertilizer. Check the concentration doses, mix up with water, apply that. That will be your best bet. Failing that, if you can't find any of that, but you can find epiphytic orchid compost, then use that. Some people will do like a quarter dilution of seaweed fertilizer, something like MaxiCrop will be ideal for that. But always check the instructions, and if you're not sure, just buy the right stuff. And how often will you feed? Well, really, you're going to be feeding about once a month. Don't forget, the plant usually gets its own nutrients from microscopic bits of water and dirt and muck in the air, and uses that by itself without your help. However, in the UK, many parts of the USA, they don't have enough rainfall, they don't have enough moisture in the air. So the reason why you're feeding and watering is to make up for the deficit in the humidity and available nutrition in the air. So you're doing a very good thing by feeding. Wait, over here, one more thing. I should mention that when it comes to feeding, this once a month only applies during the growing season. So really you're looking at from the middle of spring really till the end of the summer. So sometime about April to the end of October, possibly an even shorter period depending on where you live. We'll talk about temperatures, and that's because realistically they will perform well, grow actively at temperatures above 15 degrees Celsius. They will survive down to temperatures below, or down to about 5 degrees Celsius, although that is a touch low. Anything below that and the plant starts to fall apart, start to rot, it really does struggle. It can't cope with that. So it must always be above 5 degrees, preferably growing above 15 degrees. Overwintering temperatures, somewhere between that 5 and 15. Oh, 5 and 15. I think the gimbal collapsed. So if you think of about 10 degrees for overwintering temperatures, you'll be absolutely spot on. I'm going to put those winter temperatures as part of my mistake number 7. So just think of that if you watch it. So we said that there is a place in the British Isles where you can actually grow this plant outside all year round. Do you know where it is? Do you know where it is? Let me tell you. It's going to be the Scilly Isles. If you go to Tresco Gardens, they check their winter temperatures. The lowest temperatures they tend to get, as an average, are going to be 6 degrees Celsius. The magic number was going to be 5. So these are your dips of 6. So temperature-wise, you can grow this plant in the British Isles, but that particular isle is going to be the Channel Isles, you flipping idiot. The Isles of Scilly. It's the only place we can get away with doing this. Possibly Land's End, that tip of Cornwall. If you know of any other places where you get a low of 6 degrees Celsius in the UK, let me know. I would want to know that. And I also said, if you're struggling to grow this, I have a fantastic suggestion of a very similar plant. That is Dichondra argentea. Let me show you this. So a couple of years ago, I had a Dichondra argentea growing in this basket, and it flowered and it seeded, and some of these seeds landed over here on top of this bromeliad. And you can see growing out the bromeliad, as it does every year, is more Dichondra argentea. An absolutely stunning plant. It will need to be in a pot. It won't just grow like an air plant, like the lovely Spanish moss. But it does have that silvery green color, and it is strictly pendulous. Absolutely amazing. In fact, I love it so much. I bought another one. Let me show you, but it is just a baby, so don't get overexcited. There you go, potted on for this season. These will grow over and hang. Look brilliant. You probably get a hanging drop of around 3 foot. Absolutely stunning. So if you've got any other great mistakes that we should know about, that we should be avoiding when it comes to growing this plant, if you've got any other alternative suggestions which are hardier or better performing, let us know. Put that into the comments. This camera's a bit, let me just make me look like a midget. Nothing wrong with being, can you even say midget? You can't even say midget. Flip it. Small people, dwarfs. Oh, the world is a minefield. Don't counsel me. Put that information into the description. We generally love to hear from you. Before I go, consider watching this video here. Hopefully you enjoy this. I enjoyed making that one.